Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Sports Hub. I'm Dana Bautch and joining me today are Malik Jackson and Alex Strouf. Guys, how was your weekends?
Oh boy, it was interesting. Trivia's around the corner, folks. It's heating up. So that's kind of the centerpiece of my life right now. But I'm living. I'm doing good. Malik, how are you?
Man, life is great, guys, and I'm actually have the chance to debate this guy over here. So this is going to be amazing, especially for the MVP debate. It's going to be amazing.
Start shoveling the grave, baby.
Exactly. For yourself. Shout out to Alex Huebsch. My weekend was amazing. He scored 50 goals again for the 8th time in his career. Congrats to him. The only other two to do is Mike Bossy and Wengrzyn.
You guys don't know, he's a homer, so that's what we're going to hear later in the show.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, let's get going. On this episode, we'll be talking about the Final Four, the suspension of the AAF, who should be the NBA MVP, and much more. With the NCAA tournament coming to the closing stages, only 4 teams remain: Michigan State, Virginia, Texas Tech, and Auburn. Michigan State beat Duke 68-67. Virginia beat Purdue 80-75. Texas Tech beat Gonzaga 75-69. After Auburn beat Kentucky 77-71 in the first game of the doubleheader Saturday. Virginia will battle the underdog Auburn, while Michigan State and Texas Tech will square off in the following game. The winners of each game will tango in the national championship on Monday. Guys, let's talk about this weekend now.
Wow, they're tangoing indeed, Dana. Let's talk about it. Duke goes down. Nobody saw that coming. UNC goes down early. They're the first 1 seed out of action, which was kind of entertaining. They were my national champion, my bracket. That thing's busted. You can throw it in the paper shredder. So diving into the final weekend, really intrigued by the defense coming into this weekend, right? Texas Tech, a top 3 defensive team in the nation. Virginia, a top 3 defensive team in the nation. Defense wins championships. That's who I think we see matching up, is Texas Tech and Virginia. You look at Texas Tech, Chris Beard, a younger guy, but really, really solid at the head coaching position. Jarrett Culver's been huge for them, but a lot of guys are stepping up defensively because they hold teams to a low number of points. On the Virginia side of things, obviously Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter, you can't praise them enough. The Cavaliers are so set and ready for March after coming off the historic upset that UMBC pulled over them last year. I think anything's possible for this Virginia team. Tony Bennett, it seems like he's in a really, really good place right now. Again, coming off of what they did last year, nobody saw a Final Four team in the Cavaliers, and here they are, and they're ready to make a statement. I see Texas Tech and I see Virginia battling it out on Monday.
Okay, well, that's a good pick for yourself. I'm actually going to go against that, and I think that it's going to be Michigan State and Auburn in the finals, man. I mean, Auburn really has the capabilities of coming out and upsetting Virginia. I mean, I know that they have a little bit more experience, going through that tremendous loss or that detrimental loss in the first round against the 16th seed last year. But, I mean, like you said, Tony Bennett has this crew going really well, but I think the keys for Auburn to establish the transition game. I think if they establish the transition game early on in the game, Alex, they'll go out, they'll beat them because Virginia had a little bit of problems. They can't really handle the 3 too well. And Auburn, when they shoot the 3 consistently and they shoot it at a higher percentage, which they did in the wins against UNC and Kansas, they made 17 and 13 threes in both of those respective games. So I think that'll be important. On the Michigan State side, they have Tom Izzo. I mean, he's the most experienced coach in this Final Four out of all of the teams. He has the most experience. They have Cassius Winston as well. Then you also have Xavier Tillman. He's been putting up a lot of extra points and getting rebounds for that team as well. So I think that will be the matchup in the finals between Michigan State and Auburn.
So you're looking at experience at the head coaching positions, which makes sense. Obviously, Michigan State's a solid pick because they have probably the best player remaining in this tournament, Cassius Winston, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
However, looking at it from I'm looking more the right side of the bracket with Auburn and Virginia right now, is Virginia a 1 seed, Auburn's kind of the Cinderella team, right? They lose their best player in Okeke and a torn ACL, so he's not going to be a factor right now. Obviously, a week to prepare changes things, right? A 5 seed, if they can shoot the 3 at a high percentage, yeah, they can absolutely come out and win this game. But let's remember who they're facing. One of the top defensive threats in the whole nation, if not the top defensive team in the whole nation in Virginia. I don't see Auburn winning this game. I'm pretty firm on that pick. The other game, I could absolutely see going either way. I mean, you have a 3 seed in Texas Tech, you have a 2 seed in Michigan State.
Yeah.
2 teams that aren't necessarily supposed to be there are there, and that should make for a fun matchup. However, Auburn, Virginia, I see it being a close game. I mean, it's a freaking Final Four. There's going to be close basketball games being played.
Yep.
But I think Bruce Pearl just cannot match up to Tony Bennett right now. You look at Kyle Guy, you look at DeAndre Hunter, you look how efficient they've been all year. Kyle Guy is making even more of a name for himself in this tournament.
Yes.
And he's been the leader for the Cavaliers for the last 2 years. I mean, this guy has been playing phenomenally. DeAndre Hunter, who the Cavaliers were without last year in that first-round loss to UMBC, has just been huge. He's proving that even though he wasn't playing in that game, he's got maybe the biggest chip on his shoulder of all, besides, of course, Tony Bennett. So I think Virginia is almost a lock, and I hate to throw around that term in the Final Four because anything can happen in college basketball.
For sure.
But I think Virginia is the easiest pick of the weekend for me. I really do not see this team losing, especially to a team like Auburn. When you lose a guy like Okeke, you have Bruce Pearl, you're a team that's never been there in the history of the school, so all these guys have never been on this stage. It'll be really interesting. But Jared Harper's had a heck of a tournament. He's made a name for himself in March, and I'd love to see Auburn keep it rolling.
Yeah, Jared Harper and Bryce Brown, both of them are very, very, very fast.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying when I first,
game,
the transition game. I think if they can come out and establish that and keep you have to keep Virginia on the back burner. You have to keep them on their heels. You cannot let them set up their offense or set up their defense, because as you attested to, if they set up their defense, it will be really, really, really hard for Auburn to come out there and just shoot the three very, very consistently. It'll be hard for them, but I think that they have that grittiness, and seeing a player go down, it gives you another drive to go out and just play for that player. You know what I mean? And Virginia took a L in against the 16th seed, so it's debatable. So I think that this game, it will be, like you said, I think it will be kind of sort of favored for Virginia, but I'm going with the underdog, man. It's March Madness, and why not go with Auburn, man?
So you're going with interesting picks on both sides. I mean, obviously, we picked an opposite national championship game, so I'm curious, which game do you think is the closer one? I mean, I made my pick. It's Auburn, it's Texas Tech, Michigan State, in my opinion.
Oh, I totally agree. It's definitely going to be a closer game between those two. You have the defense, like you said, with Culver and then Winston. Those are both of the same. They're both going to be the best players on the floor. Yep. I give the advantage over to Michigan State just because of their point guard and their coach. When you have a point guard that is the best player on their team, he conducts the team, he conducts the flow of the game. The pick and roll that they go through with their team, they're so versatile in being able to swing the ball, shoot the tray, or do a pick and roll and lob it up. I think that I'm going to go with Michigan State, the Spartans, in that favor just because of that.
What worries me with Michigan State is they haven't been truly tested in this tournament. Obviously, Duke is a big a test as they come, but they pretty much had control of that game through the entirety. They only won by 6, but I don't think it was as close as the score indicates. You look at their Sweet 16 game against LSU, they won by what, 20 points? I mean, they only won by 1?
Yeah, they won by 1.
Okay, I could be incorrect. Nonetheless, I still think it was Michigan State. You're right, they did win by 1. Yeah. And Duke almost had multiple opportunities at the end of that game. But
that's true.
Going back to their Sweet 16 game against LSU, I mean, we should be watching fun, entertaining, competitive college basketball, and Michigan State's blowing them out of the water. Now, is that a note of Michigan State being really good at basketball, or is that a note of LSU maybe wasn't deserving of a 3 seed? They had troubles with Yale in the first round. An Ivy League school, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, and that could go either way. And then they go into a good one with Duke. I just don't know if they're ready for a defense like Texas Tech. Duke is freshman, unexperienced. Michigan State, experienced. Texas Tech, again, sort of unexperienced when it comes to tournament time, but they've got veterans. They've got players who have been here. Last year we saw them in the tournament make it to, I believe, the round of 32 at the Sweet 16, maybe even further. Mm-hmm. We knew this team was going to be back, and they'd be back with a vengeance, and here they are in the Final Four. I think Texas Tech really brings a strong case. Again, this game could sway either way, but defense wins championships, and I'm pretty stuck on that.
And they definitely have the best defense remaining out of these Final Four teams. I would believe so. They're very versatile. They're very lengthy, kind of like the Milwaukee Bucks. They have so much length. When you have length on the team, especially when it comes to basketball, you can conduct so many different things, and I think that will kind of hinder Cassius Winston because he's kind of small. But at the same time, he knows his IQ is very, very good. So I think that when you have him, you have Tom Izzo, one of the greatest NCAA coaches that we've ever seen. He's been in the Final Four multiple times. I can't go against that. And then coming off a win against Zion Williamson's Duke team, they're just ready to go.
Briefly, what's the ideal national championship game? I almost assume it's Michigan State, Virginia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Izzo, Bennett. Who do you think wins it all?
Michigan State.
Okay, I think Virginia. So maybe we will see a little mixture of that.
We shall see, Alex.
All right, thanks for your opinions. After a quick commercial break, we'll be back with the Alliance of American Football calling it quits and who is the favorite in the AFC North.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball or it's not just about school. It's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
Welcome back. The Alliance of the American Football has suspended operations until further notice after investor Tom Dundon has quickly pulled out his losing investment in the first-year league. So guys, I'll pass it off to you. Was this league a failure?
I don't think that it was a failure per se. I think it was a failure for him because he invested all of that money into it. But I mean, for the players who who didn't get the shot in the NFL. I mean, you look at all of these other leagues. You have the NHL, you have the MLB, the NBA. All of these leagues have affiliate leagues. So I think that this was a good shot for teams, for players at least.
I'll cut you off there. That's absolutely why it was a failure. That is 1,000% why.
Because it wasn't
the ideal
successful.
goal was to go ahead and make this the developmental league of the NFL. The NFLPA didn't budge. The NFL didn't budge. They didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And they had the AAF was able to bring big names, right? The first week of their existence, they were blowing up on CBS Sports, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, who the hell cares about the AAF, right? It's a bad football league essentially.
Yeah.
It's second tier guys, and then wait a minute, we're bringing in Money Manziel, baby. But you've missed that first part of Manziel. You forgot to bring in the money. Tom Dundon was an investor in the league for 4 weeks, lost $75 million.
Yeah, and
He didn't lose that investment in the Carolina Hurricanes, but that's beside the point. Going back to week 1, after week 1, the AAF was already in trouble. They almost missed paying their players after a week. So I think it's a failure strictly because there was so much buildup, there was so much hype. Troy Polamalu is involved, Hines Warden is involved, Bill Polian's involved. We have all these names, we have TV deals. Oh look, we got Trent Richardson, who ends with the most rushing touchdowns in AAF history, kind of interesting. Then they got Johnny Manziel, and they had Zach Mettenberger, who went down with an injury.
Yeah.
He was kind of the face of the league, which Zach Mettenberger is the face of your league, you're probably in trouble. I like the idea, but I think we're going to see a repeat because that's what history does when the XFL launches in 2020. Vince McMahon's a smarter man than maybe, Bill Polian or Charlie Ebersol, maybe not.
True.
But we'll see. I mean, the XFL already failed once. Then we see the AAF try this. The Arena Football League is failing. It's hard to keep a league afloat where the player names aren't recognizable.
That's true.
And you only have a few in the AAF. You got a guy like Trent Richardson who's running all over people, and he couldn't even do that in the NFL. So it kind of makes you think, well, what's the legitimacy of this league? So yes, I think it was an absolute failure.
I disagree. I think that it wasn't. I think that if they tried, and it just sucks because it didn't succeed and they didn't have the investors to come into it. And for the players, it sucks as well because you need to. I wish that they would have had the chance to be able to play under it, and then I think that they were trying to get a negotiating with the NFLPA, the AAF, to have like the player. I think you can have the practice squad players, send them up from the AAF, and then like that could have been a possible thing. So I mean, I just don't think that it was a failure just because it didn't succeed. I think that it was a success because at least they tried something. But like you said, though, I mean, you have all of these other, you got arena football, you got the XFL that's failing as well. So it's like, but then you have to look at the safety for the players. the contact, it's like the CTE, it's like all of these things come into effect with football in general. And then the NFL brings in so many endorsements, so much stuff for Sundays. It's like, yeah, I mean, I just don't think that it was a failure in the terms of it felling out. I think that it was a success because at least they tried. I know that.
Let's give them a participation trophy then, Malik. No, I mean, it did not work, and they lost money. The players didn't receive a whole lot of spotlight because of this league.
That's true.
As of today, they can officially negotiate contracts with NFL teams. We'll probably see a few get
And
signed.
a lot of people.
But we're not going to see Johnny Manziel. We're not going to see Zach Mettenberger. We're not going to see Trent Richardson. This isn't going to mean just because the Orlando Apollos went 7-1, Steve Spurrier is not going to go out and get an NFL job.
That's true.
There's not a whole lot of
And a lot of people lost jobs
out.
too. I mean, you think about all of the people who put in work or quit their jobs to actually work for this brand, the AAF, and then he just pulls out all of a sudden weeks. I mean, you got all of the players coming out on social media saying, we have no idea where this came from. Like, we thought that this was going to be a successful thing, and then he just pulls out, and it's like, wow. I mean, get him a participation trophy, as you said, Alex. I guess that's what you could do. But, I mean, it kind of sucks, man. It does suck. It really sucks for the players that definitely want to showcase their skills because they didn't make it on the big stage in the NFL. It gives them that chance, and then for them to not be able to bring in the numbers, bring in the revenue, that just sucks. I mean, I don't know what else to say for that, man. It sucks for them, man.
We'll leave it at that. It does suck.
All right. Well, moving on to the NFL now. After the Cleveland Browns officially introduced Odell Beckham last week, speculation around the top dog in the AFC North is rumbling. The Steelers lost two of their top offensive weapons, while the reigning AFC North champion Baltimore Ravens have added key pieces in running back Mark Ingram and safety Earl Thomas. Guys, who is the favorite to win the AFC North champion this upcoming NFL season?
Man. I understand the speculation around Cleveland. They got a guy named Baker Mayfield who's pretty darn good. They made a really good signing at running back. Remember Kareem Hunt? Although he's suspended for 8 games, still young, still a really productive back. Odell Beckham Jr., that rings a bell. Oh, yeah, he's a top guy, and he's one of the top wide receivers in the entire league.
Yeah.
They already had Jarvis Landry, but they're not ready, I don't think. I don't know if they're ready. Winning 7 games last year was really impressive, and that's why it's swaying my opinion right
7-9.
now.
I mean,
Freddie Kitchens at the helm, we'll see. I can never count out Pittsburgh, even without Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Hard to count them out. And Baltimore's still the top team, although I think they take a sharp decline. I think they win 6 games tops this year. I guess it's Cleveland. Pittsburgh is hard to side with, but I still think they're going to be able to produce. You got a new big 3. I mean, Le'Veon, Antonio Brown out, but James Conner, Juju in. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to count out Pittsburgh, but right now it looks like Cleveland.
Yeah, I feel the same as you. It looks like Cleveland, man. When you add an Odell Beckham Jr. to your team, it just adds another element to it. And then you have Jarvis Landry on the other side, like you said. And then Kareem Hunt he's suspended for 8 games. But when he comes back, he's another.
They already have Nick Chubb. I mean, they're not in bad shape.
Nick Chubb, and then you have Baker Mayfield, who came out of his rookie season winning 7 games. Arguably should have been the offensive rookie of the year if it wasn't for the great Saquon Barkley. But I mean, it's craziness now in the AFC North. But I'm not gonna lie, I do like the Ravens. They won the division last year. They made it to the playoffs. Lamar Jackson looks very good. He does need to still work on his arm, though. They probably need to give him some more assets in the wide receiver position.
Bingo.
They don't have any weapons at all.
Absolutely, but they lost Alex Collins, which means they bring Mark Ingram in.
True.
He's a good receiving back out of the backfield. That I will not discount.
But Alvin
Mark
Kamara
Ingram.
also picked up a lot of slack when he was on the Saints. So
Right.
it went both ways with Mark Ingram. So
But I mean, is he ready to be an every down back? I'm sure he is, but I mean, he's entering that scary age for running backs. I think he's 28 or 29 years old already.
He's getting up there in age too.
30 is that scary age for running backs.
And what was his injury? He had when he was hurt with the Saints, he was out. What was it? Torn ACL, I believe, something with his knees or something like that. And being a power back, that's very. I mean, that takes a toll on you when you have that many rushes. And being with the Ravens, they're going to be in the option a lot with Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram.
Right.
So I mean, you're going to be having
Gus
close
Edwards,
to 100, over 100 carries, over 120 carries. So It's going to be a tough toe for him, for the Ravens, but I think that the Browns are the favorites now to win this division. I'm done with the Steelers. I mean, you lose Antonio Brown.
You're done with the Steelers.
I'm done with
You're
the Steelers.
done with the Steelers.
They're done. I'd say that they're going to come in third in the division.
They'll win more games than the Ravens.
They won't.
Yeah, they will.
They will come in
absolutely
third
will.
in the division. They lose Antonio Brown. They lose Le'Veon Bell.
But they still have James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster.
and Big Ben, right?
Right.
And Tom Coughlin. I mean,
What?
I said Tom Coughlin. Excuse me. Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
So I mean, they still have that core set in place with Big Ben and Mike Tomlin, but you lose AB, you lose Le'Veon Bell.
Fine without Le'Veon Bell last year.
And they were. James Conner, he picked up the slack. He really did. But when you lose a guy like AB, it puts so much pressure on Juju to go out there and get you. I mean, he's going to have to go out there and get you. He's going to be the first receiver for the team. He's going to get double coverage. He might get triple coverage
Lamar
sometimes.
Jackson's a fluke. They have more tape on him now, and I don't see him succeeding
fluke?
this year. He wins 6
He's
games.
a fluke.
He wins
But
6
yeah,
games.
I totally agree with you, Alex. I think that the Browns will be the favorites to win the AFC North. Adding OBJ and then having the other guy on the other side, Jarvis Landry. Baker Mayfield has a lot of toys to play with, and like he said in the press conference, I'm gonna just throw it up and close my eyes and throw it up, and maybe one of them catches it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Definitely.
All right, now that we agree, after our final commercial break, we'll be back with our last call on who should be the NBA MVP.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
It's a university where professors know your name and get you involved in research.
They inspire us to realize big dreams.
At UW-Stevens Point, sustainability is what we stand for.
Our beautiful campus encourages exploration, developing new fields, and problem solving for the real world.
It's a great place to launch your career.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
Apply today at uwsp.edu.
Welcome back to the Sports Hub. I'm Dana Bautch with Malik Jackson and Alex Strouf. We wrap up the show with our last calls as the NBA season is coming to an end and the discussion for the most valuable player is heating up. Malik, we'll start with you. Who is the MVP and why?
This MVP race is going to be one of the closest races that we have seen ever. I mean, when you talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo coming from the 8th seed last year, now the Milwaukee Bucks are the best seed.
He's taking on my points. He's
And
making my points for me.
yeah, they're the best seed in the entire league. Nobody thought this. You got to give a lot of credit to Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's a phenomenal player. But when it comes down to most valuable player in the league, there is not, without a doubt, you cannot say that it is not James Harden.
Yeah, you can.
Coming off a historic streak, 30-plus points in 32 games consistently. And before this streak started, let everybody know that the Houston Rockets were the second to last team in the Western Conference.
There were 62 games remaining in the season.
That is true as well. But without
67,
Chris Paul,
actually, sorry. 67 games
without Chris Paul on the team, without Clint Capella, James Harden took on the workload, averaging the most percentage usage rate of a player in NBA history. And during that streak, after 0 games rest, he's averaging 42 points after any game this season. He has more 50-point games than games under 25 points. Let that sink in real quick, America. Alex, there is no way that you can possibly tell me that Giannis Antetokounmpo deserves it over James Harden. And when you talk about this, and you talk about the guy, and you talk about the number 1 and number 2 players in points per game, James Harden is number 1 in the league, 36.4 points per game. The next in line is Paul George. He's averaging 28 points. The gap right there hasn't been this big, which is 8 points, in 50 years. 50. Okay, guys? 50. So there isn't a doubt that James Harden should not be the MVP. He is arguably the MVP. And when you talk about most valuable,
well, we'll get there.
He's the most valuable player in the league at the moment and arguably the best player in the league right now.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
So that is my debate.
No, he's
there
not.
you go right there, America.
Yeah, okay, America, let me address the camera like Malik did. He wants to talk about the word valuable? Let me tell you about the word valuable. Remember how at the beginning of his statement, how he mentioned two guys? Paul George, Clint Capella.
Paul George?
Top 5 point guard. Oh, sorry, Chris Paul. And Clint Capella. Two guys that are maybe top 5, top 6 of their position in the NBA.
Clint Capella's a top 5 center in the league?
Top 6, top 7 maybe. Nonetheless, big piece on his team. Eric Gordon on his team, right? We look at the supporting cast around superstars.
He was also hurt this year.
Can you shut up and let me speak? I'll let you speak. You look at the supporting cast both these teams have, right? You look at Chris Paul, you look at Clint Capella, you look at Eric Gordon. He's got studs around him. Potential all-star, former all-stars, future all-stars around him. Giannis Antetokounmpo brought a team that was 8th in the East to 1st in the East. He leads his team in, anybody want to throw up their fingers with me? Points, rebounds, assists, blocks, field goal percentage, and the thing you mentioned at the top, they have the best record in the NBA. Nobody saw that coming.
Right.
You know what they saw coming? Was the Houston Rockets' realistic expectations to be the only threat to the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference, and they're living up to it. Giannis Antetokounmpo, an all-star captain, is exceeding any expectations anybody had for him. The supporting cast he has is nothing in comparison. It's incomparable to the supporting cast that James Harden has in Houston. When you look at the word, valuable, Giannis Antetokounmpo brings more value to his team's success than James Harden does. The Rockets would still win games if there was no James Harden. If there was no Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Bucks would be stuck with Chris Middleton as their centerpiece. Although he was an all-star this year, it kind of helped they were the top guys in the NBA at that point. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the most valuable player to his team's success in the entire NBA, and this season shows it. He's doing everything. He's leading his team in field goal percentage. What does James Harden know about efficiency? He's leading his team in assists. He's leading his team in rebounds, in blocks, in points. And they have the most wins in the NBA. Although you want to give James Harden the scoring title, why does that correlate to being the most valuable player?
How many assists does Eric Bledsoe average for the team? What's his average for the year?
I have no idea off the top of my head.
He doesn't lead the team in assists?
No.
Eric Bledsoe doesn't?
No, he does not. Giannis Antetokounmpo does. He averages 5.6.
Wow, 5.6. James Harden averages 7.6 assists with Chris Paul on his team.
Right.
And he averages
with
two,
Chris Paul on his team.
And he averages 2 steals a game also. And he also is tied for deflections defensively in the league for first. So what are you talking about? He's an all-around player. Everything, every single, is it not efficient?
What did Eric Bledsoe do to him defensively? He made him shoot 7 of 26.
He did.
Who's the only person ever missed
What's his field goal
300
percentage?
shots in a season?
What's his field goal percentage?
Lower than Giannis Antetokounmpo's, that's for damn sure.
Yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo, all he does is dunk. He can't shoot the ball.
And he doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to?
Oh,
and he also can't score a 60-point triple-double, which James Harden is the only player to ever do that in NBA history, and he did that this year.
Congratulations.
How many 50-point triple-doubles
does
does James
title?
Harden have?
You get a trophy for the
James
scoring
Harden.
title. He can have
So
that.
you said no. So you said that James Harden isn't efficient and that he doesn't help his team, but he's getting triple-doubles. He has 4 50-point triple-doubles this season alone.
300 shots this
Doesn't
season
matter.
alone.
This season alone, he has 4 50-point triple-doubles. In the history of the NBA, there is only 5 other players to have that, and he has 4. He has 1 60-point triple-double game, and that has never happened in the NBA, and that is this year. And and by the way, if it wasn't for Wilt Chamberlain, then James Harden would have the most historic streak that we've seen ever.
Look at a parking lot.
Ever.
You got a Chevrolet.
Ever, guys.
You got a really beautiful Corvette.
This is a joke. This shouldn't even be a debate.
Really nice Corvette at this car dealership, right? There's 82 cars in the lot. You look at this Corvette.
Give me a Volkswagen.
Beautiful Corvette.
Give me a Volkswagen.
Can you stop? A beautiful Corvette at this car dealership, right? That automatically makes it the most valuable car dealership in the entire world because they have a really nice Corvette. An 82-game sample size is what you need to look at. Giannis Antetokounmpo is leading his teams to wins, not only, but being the
And
most
James Harden is-
valuable asset to that
James
team.
Harden- James Harden-
Valuable asset to that team.
James Harden isn't. They
I'm
have
not
50
saying
wins
he's
on the
not.
year. And
And-
they're third in the Western Conference.
They're in the Western Conference.
They're
Bucks
third
are
in the
number one
Western-
in the NBA.
Huh?
Bucks are number one in the NBA.
Okay, congrats.
Giannis is top 5 in scoring. Giannis
Congrats.
is top 5 in
James
blocks.
Harden's number
Giannis
one.
top. Yeah, it's a scoring title.
No.
The scoring title does not correlate to most valuable
What
player
about
in
the
league.
steals?
You're absolutely
What about the
insane.
deflections?
You are
What about the
delusional.
steals?
You are delusional.
What about the triple doubles?
Delusional because
What about the triple doubles? James Harden has that. James Harden has that. James Harden has that, guys. So we'll see.
Giannis gets triple doubles too. Why are we just deflecting that like it doesn't happen?
Does he have more than James Harden? And has he had more than James Harden this season?
Okay, so we're basing No,
He has
that's
it.
right.
No.
I forgot.
No,
Malik. I forgot
he
we
has
renamed-
it.
I
We're
for-
talking about the MVP
Yeah,
this
I
season.
forgot we renamed the award the most triple doubles in the season.
I mean, shout out to Russell Westbrook because
Russell
that's why he
Westbrook won
won.
that award.
Yeah, and James
That's not
Harden
why
came
he
in
won, he
second.
averaged
He
it.
came in second in that race as well. So what are you saying?
I'm saying that Giannis is more valuable to his team's success than James Harden is,
And
and
that's
an
not
absolute
true.
fact.
And that's not true.
That's an absolute
All right,
fact.
boys.
not true.
All right, boys. Let's agree to disagree here because we got to wrap up the show.
It's not true.
That's all we have for today's show. I'd like to thank Malik and Alex for joining me today.
Thanks, guys.
And a big thank you to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this show possible. Be sure to check us out at SPTV on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointer Athletic information. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on the Sports Hub.
We had it.